No one in the studio audience expected sparks to fly that morning, least of all Kelly Clarkson herself. As the show's upbeat music faded and applause settled, Kelly turned to welcome her guest, the beloved country star Miranda Lambert. The two had shared a friendly rapport for years, even joking in interviews about their shared roots in Nashville, and mutual respect as powerhouse female voices in country music. But something was different this time. Miranda's smile was tight, her body language guarded. Kelly, ever the professional, pushed forward with her trademark warmth, unaware of the emotional landmine she was about to step on. The interview began with light chatter about touring and songwriting, but within minutes, an awkward shift in tone swept through the room when Kelly mentioned Blake Shelton's name in a seemingly innocent context. Miranda's jaw visibly tightened. The crowd laughed, oblivious to the tension brewing between the two women. Kelly had referenced a recent collaboration between Blake and another country artist, not thinking it would cause any issue after all. It was industry news. But Miranda, still visibly affected by her past with Blake, took it differently. "I'm not sure why we're bringing him up," she replied coolly, crossing her arms. Kelly blinked, caught off guard. "Oh, sorry, just thought it was interesting." "Musically," she replied quickly. A hush began to settle over the studio. Kelly tried to pivot, bringing up Miranda's new album, but the moment had opened a wound. Miranda, known for her fiery personality, leaned forward, her voice sharp. "You know, Kelly, sometimes it feels like certain people in this business love to stir the pot when it comes to women, especially women with pasts." The crowd tensed, now visibly flustered, tried to reassure her. "Been done," trying to keep the show on track. Kelly offered to move on entirely, but Miranda wasn't finished. "It's just funny," she said, voice tinged with sarcasm. "How certain narratives keep getting pushed, even when we're trying to talk about our own success." Kelly's smile was gone now, replaced with a flicker of defensive frustration. "I wasn't trying to push any narrative, Miranda," she said softly but firmly. "I respect you too much for that." There was a long silence. The audience, sensing a genuine rift unfolding, sat frozen. Cameras captured Miranda's icy glare and Kelly's strained expression. Behind the scenes, producers were panicking, signaling to cut to commercial. But the feed kept rolling as the tension escalated. Miranda shook her head, visibly emotional now. "You know what? Maybe I made a mistake coming here today." With that, Miranda began adjusting her mic, signaling she was ready to walk. The studio staff moved hastily, some trying to dissuade her while others prepared for damage control. Kelly reached out instinctively, trying to stop her from leaving, her voice cracking. "Miranda, wait, this isn't what I wanted. I'm sorry." But Miranda stood up, her voice quivering as she spoke. "You don't get to open old wounds and then apologize on air for the ratings." Her heels echoed across the studio floor as she exited stage left. The crowd was stunned into complete silence. Kelly remained seated, eyes welling up. A mix of shock and heartbreak painted her face. The cameras cut suddenly to a promo for an upcoming cooking segment, but the damage had already gone viral. Within minutes, Twitter exploded with hashtag Miranda vs Kelly. Backstage. Miranda was met with handlers and PR reps trying to calm her down, but her emotions were raw. "I'm not going back out there," she said through gritted teeth. "I came to talk about my music, not be blindsided." Meanwhile, Kelly was in her dressing room, visibly shaken. She hadn't intended harm, but the emotional misstep had spiraled into a public debacle. "I feel terrible," she whispered to her producer, who stood by awkwardly. "I should have known better." What made it worse was the public nature of it all. The segment had already been clipped and uploaded by fans in the audience. Miranda's walk-off was now trending across all social platforms. Pundits and celebrity bloggers were already speculating about a feud, with hashtags popping up by the second: hashtag country clash, hashtag Kelly vs Miranda, #talkshowmeltdown. By the end of the day, both women were trending topics on major platforms. Fans from both camps were divided, some defending Miranda's reaction, others blaming Kelly for insensitivity. Interviews from years past were being dug up, analyzed, reinterpreted. Clips of Miranda's old songs about heartbreak and betrayal resurfaced. A particular lyric from one of her older hits, "You lit the match, now you watch me burn," was being quoted alongside footage of her storming off stage. On the other hand, Kelly's fans praised her composure, saying she tried to de-escalate and had no malicious intent. The media frenzy only intensified when Miranda's team issued a vague but firm statement later that evening, saying she would no longer appear on platforms that disrespect a woman's journey. Kelly, for her part, chose not to respond. Through a publicist, instead, she addressed it directly in the following day's show. "I want to take a moment to talk about what happened yesterday," she said, standing alone on the stage. "Things didn't go the way any of us hoped. I never meant to hurt Miranda, and I truly regret if I did." Her voice cracked. "We've both had rough roads. I should have been more mindful. That's on me." The audience responded with warm applause, but the media wasn't ready to move on. Headlines ran with phrases like "Kelly Clarkson breaks down over Miranda fallout" and "Country Queens collide on daytime TV." Every moment of the prior day's segment was dissected frame by entertainment pundits. A week passed. Before Miranda broke her silence with a post on Instagram, it was a black and white image of her on stage, captioned, "Sometimes silence is strength, sometimes walking away is power." Her comment section erupted, fans cheering her decision, while others begged for reconciliation. Rumors swirled that Miranda had canceled other talk show appearances, and insiders hinted at a deeper rift that had been brewing behind the scenes for years. "They've never really been close," one unnamed source said to People. "There's always been quiet competition between them." Meanwhile, Kelly focused on her music and her fans, but the rift had left a visible mark. Viewership of the show had spiked, ironically, during and after the episode, making it one of the most talked about segments in daytime TV history. Eventually, calls for the two women to reconcile began to surface. Ellen DeGeneres, Gayle King, and even Reba McEntire offered public comments, hoping they'd work things out. One Nashville radio host even proposed a televised duet to heal the country community, but there was no movement. Miranda remained silent on any offers, while Kelly quietly removed clips of the segment from her official platforms. In private circles, many believed that Miranda's walk-off was more than just about Blake. It symbolized years of unspoken tensions, miscommunications, and the emotional toll of public life. Fans continued to speculate whether they'd ever see the two share a stage again. Months later. At the Country Music Awards, the two women were scheduled to attend, but seated on opposite ends of the venue. Though they never crossed paths on stage, cameras caught brief glances exchanged during the night. The moment went viral again. "Was that a smile from Miranda?" one Twitter user asked. Kelly nodded at her during the speech. Another noted, though no formal reconciliation has happened, that small interaction gave fans hope. Sometimes wounds heal not with dramatic apologies, but with time and quiet acknowledgement. For now, the fiery moment remained a stark reminder of how quickly emotions can unravel, especially when the whole world is watching. The morning after, the CMA's tabloids were ablaze with side-by-side images of Kelly and Miranda from the events and shots, analyzing facial expressions, body language, even the angle of their shoulders. "Tense but civil," one headline read. Another took a bolder angle. "Miranda breaks her silence with a look." Fans flooded Twitter with slowed-down clips of the two locking eyes for a split second, suggesting everything from passive aggression to tentative peace. Despite no words exchanged, the visual moment had ignited a new wave of speculation. Meanwhile, sources close to both women began leaking conflicting stories. One claimed Miranda had been approached backstage by Kelly's team for a quiet reconciliation that she refused. Another said it was Miranda who had sent a peace offering in the form of a handwritten note, which Kelly allegedly never received. The narrative had spun far beyond either artist's control. Behind the scenes, the ripple effects were massive. The producers of The Kelly Clarkson Show met for emergency PR strategy sessions. Sponsors were asking questions. Ratings had surged, but for all the wrong reasons. Kelly was caught in a paradox, celebrated for her vulnerability, yet quietly criticized by some executives for letting the segment spiral out of control. Miranda, on the other hand, was navigating her own wave of backlash. A major radio network pulled a planned Miranda Lambert interview, citing concerns about volatile press moments. Her fans rallied in protest, threatening boycotts. Internally, Miranda's team was splitsome, felt the walk-off was a bold feminist stand. Others believed it had closed doors that might never reopen. One longtime publicist reportedly resigned, calling the fallout the messiest moment of her career.